Hi everyone, and welcome back to Literally My Life, the podcast. Today's episode is going to be a very special episode because we're starting off with a little story time, a little debrief, and then we're going to get into today's message, today's topic, some theories, some scripture, everything that I did to research this topic, and I'm going to be answering your Ask Alex questions. So I'm super excited to get into this. If you're new here, my name is Alex, and better known as Chicago Barbie, and I am here to guide young women and young men through the teenage angst, adolescence, and early adulthood because you need guidance for it. Before we get into today's episode, make sure to follow our social media. The links are in our episode description below. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our blog, shop off my LTK, and submit your questions to our Ask Alex form for a chance to be featured in another episode of Literally My Life. Now, let's get into today's episode. Now, we're going to start with a little debrief, a little story now. So for people that are new here, I'm from Chicago. I'm new. I'm true to this, not new to this. Grew here, you flew here, all those things. I just finished my first year of college at the University of Colorado Boulder, and now I'm home for the summer. Cool. Since I've been home for the summer, I have been definitely feeling a little lonely, a little to myself. The only person I've hung out with really is my mom. I've only seen my best friend once and whatever. So last night I went to Promontory Point because a lot of people that I went to high school with posting it. And so I was like, you know what, that would be fun. It would be nice to catch up with some friends from high school. I haven't seen them in a while. Let's go. And it's so weird because as soon as I got there, I felt kind of transported to the past, and not physically, but emotionally. Because in a way, seeing some people that I have a rough history with took me back and kind of reminded me of things that aren't present in my mind every day, but I can still see that they're weighing on me emotionally. Every time you tell a lie, or every time you gossip, or every time you make mistakes, now we're at the age where I feel you can just look at stuff and be like, you know what, I was a kid, I made a mistake, I spread a rumor, or I told a lie, or whatever, and it's not that big of a deal. But then when you see that person that you spread the rumor about, or that you lied about, or whatever, it brings it back, and that guilt comes back. And so it gave me this idea for this episode because I realized then, no matter how far you run from your past, or your pain, or your trauma, you cannot hide. So I've done a lot of research on this topic. We've picked out some Bible verses that I want to talk about. If you know me, then you know I'm scripture. I love the Lord, and I had some verses that came to mind that I really want to recite and talk about. But yes, that was such a complex feeling for me. And I don't know, I really would like to know you guys' stories. If you've ever had a moment that just completely transported you back to the past. But it was the weirdest feeling, and I didn't know how to explain it, but I have to talk about it with you guys. Dealing with the weird looks and the awkwardness from people, and whether or not it was real, and all those things, and how I reacted after, how I felt awkward, how I felt out of place, and a place that's my home. I'm in my hometown and I feel out of place. And then I couldn't help but wonder, why does this still bother me? Why does this still weigh on me emotionally? Why am I still upset about the things that I cannot control, that I cannot change? So, we are going to dig deep into that because I realize that sometimes peace doesn't come from distance. It comes from confrontation. So, our first segment, why we revisit the past psychology. This is called emotional unfinished business. Your brain, and this is scientifically proven, your brain will continuously replay events until it has closure. So if you went through something that was extremely traumatic, no matter what it was, and your brain keeps replaying this event, and you're feeling like this is torture. You're like, why do I keep thinking about this? Why is this keeping me up at night? Why? It's because your brain is trying to come up with a conclusion that comforts it so that it doesn't have to keep you up any night. Now, that's obviously incredibly uncomfortable. No one wants to sit up there and revisit their past, revisit their mistakes, revisit their trauma all the time because that brings unhappiness and people don't want to feel unhappy. So that's where comes avoidance. Now, you can try and avoid your pain through many, many ways. It could be more hard ways like drugs and alcohol and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. Or it could be ways that don't seem as harmful, like, I know this is something I'm guilty of, watching Netflix, doom scrolling, isolating yourself, listening to music for hours on end, stuff like that. And I'm calling myself out on my own behavior. This is stuff that you do to avoid feeling your feelings, to avoid confronting your past. But avoidance just strengthens your anxiety. And we're going to get to that later. I've also learned that exposure reduces fear, because even though I went last night and I was fearful and I did feel bad about myself, I know that I could do it again because I do have to confront this. And I'm not as terrified as confronting my past or confronting my traumas because I've done it once. I'll give you an example. I'm afraid of dogs. I don't know if I've ever shared that on this podcast, which would be weird because I've had it for 2 years, but I'm pretty afraid of dogs. Everybody who knows me knows that. When I was in therapy back in summer of 2024, I did exposure therapy for my fear of dogs. And once I pet a dog and like hung out with a dog and let it lay on my lap, I became a lot less afraid of dogs. Even though I went to exposure therapy one time. It helped me get over my fear of dogs. And not only am I better with dogs, but I'm better with other animals. And you can apply that analogy into your life now. Exposing yourself to what you're afraid of, what's haunting you, helps you. And what you resist, persist. What you resist, persist. Please coin that phrase into the back of your mind. Now we're going to be moving into the cranes in the sky. Now you're probably asking, what the hell is the cranes in the sky theory? Well, this is nothing scientific. This is something that I came up with from a Solange song. Now, if you guys have ever listened to Cranes in the Sky by Solange, she's talking about how she did everything possible to avoid her pain. She tried to sex it away, write it away, drink it away, do everything possible, and none of it worked. And cranes in the sky is like this metaphor of cranes circling you in the sky and how they won't fly away until you release your burden. And I think it's a beautiful metaphor. Solange is a genius. It's one of my favorite songs that I've just been put onto thanks to TikTok. And I've come up with a cranes in the sky theory. We try to outrun pain with relationships, with moving, with work, with partying, with glow-ups, with ambition, with drinking, all of these things. And none of it's working. You can move across the country and still take your wounds with you. So it is important to recognize the avoidance in your life because it will become like cranes. No matter how far you run from your pain, it will still find you in every situation, like an annoying crane in the sky. Now we're going to move to our third segment, which is what confrontation actually looks like. Now it's not necessarily texting someone. It's not necessarily going up to someone face to face and like, let's fight. Although sometimes that's necessary. I'm kidding. Sometimes it looks like journaling, praying, grieving, therapy, admitting what happened, and then naming what hurt. Today, I didn't know how to process the feeling I was feeling. I just felt really heavy after last night. And then I went and I opened my diary and I wrote out my feelings, and it helped me confront my feelings. And had I not done that, I would have spent the rest of my day avoiding how I felt. Because, like, I'll be honest with you guys, I just doom scrolled today. I'm working on that. And I could have spent the entire day avoiding how I felt, doom scrolling, or being annoying. But no, I chose to sit down, I chose to confront it, and I chose to journal through it. Because it is very important. Even though high school is a distant memory in my mind, it feels surreal at times, or it feels so close when I'm triggered or I'm reminded of stuff from high school. And that's how I know I'm still hurting from things. So if you're so easily triggered from something, then that's a sign that you need to heal from it. And like I said, you're not going to heal if you continue to run away. Confrontation isn't revenge though. It's all about honesty. So you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say like, how am I going to confront what's keeping me up at night? Because it will mess up your life. I'm going to tell you guys a little story. We're going to talk and give you guys a personal anecdote. And sorry for the clothes on my couch. We're like doing laundry and my dryer's broken. So there's like my little brother's shorts on the couch, but don't worry, they're gone. So my sophomore year of high school was terrible. Top 5 nightmares. And I had gotten broken up with. I had gotten teased on a lot in high school. I don't like to say the bullied word, but I got teased. I got picked on a lot. So I got broken up with, teased a lot. So much stuff happened sophomore year. Like, we'll do a sophomore year debrief dump one of these days. It was terrible. And so I remember I was super avoidant. And I avoided all my pain through academics. I really wanted to go to Yale. I was incredibly ambitious. Great thing, you would think. But it made my life horrible. And I remember I would ride home on the train and I would listen to music that reminded me of my breakup and I would be like absolutely devastated and I would do nothing to confront it. I don't think I was really journaling at the time. Wasn't in therapy. Wasn't really talking to anyone in my life about what I was hurting about because I was ashamed to be hurt. And what you don't confront will become an autoimmune disease because shortly after that, I was diagnosed with a sarcoidosis mimicker. And I became physically sick because of how much stress I was carrying emotionally. And I really do believe that. I know there's no scientific correlation between stress and disease, but I promise you, I feel like that really can happen. Looking back, one of my biggest regrets was not confronting that hurt. I got broken up with, and that's okay to be upset about. For some reason, I was so ashamed of that, and I was so ashamed to like even talk to anyone about it. I feel like it was partially because when I would talk to my friends about it, they'd be like, why are you still talking about this? Why are you still thinking about it? So it's very important to have a good support system. But I was so ashamed. I carried the guilt of being broken up with like it was my fault. And to have such a heavy and sad and devastating breakup at 15 years old is absurd. And to carry that pain alone at 15 years old is also absurd. All of it was just absurd. But like I was saying, I think one of my biggest regrets, I think I could have avoided getting sick and being in the position that I'm in now had I confronted my pain. Had I not confronted my pain through trying to get straight A's and trying to numb it through other ways, had I gone to therapy, had I cried it out, had I done the work, would I have a chronic illness? Who knows? Now, we're going to talk about my favorite thing ever, the Bible. I have some biblical backing to what we've been talking about. So please join me, and sorry, the lights from this is like messing up my vision so bad. But please join me in Psalm chapter 139, verses 23 to 24. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Put me to the test and know my anxious thoughts. And see if there is any hurtful way to me, and lead me in the everlasting way. That message to me, the way that I translate it, and everybody translates the Bible differently, is to invite God into the wound. Now, I have shared on here a few times that I'm a very devout Christian and that there's no area of my life that I'm going to keep away from God. I have learned, that's just my way of coping. I have learned with whatever's going on in my life, I have to share it with God. I have to take it up with the Lord. I swear I have to. And that was another thing that I didn't have in my life back then when I was like running away from my pain. I didn't have the Lord. Now that I have the Lord by my side, now that I pray and now that I talk to him about my daily life and my struggles and, you know, my triumphs and all those things, triumphs and tribulations, is that the same? I have learned to invite him into my wounds. It's weird to kind of talk to God like he's your therapist because you're like still getting that relationship with him, so I can understand how it can be uncomfortable. But if you're going through something, there's no one that's going to understand how you're feeling and know your heart than the person that created it. No one is going to understand the heaviness on your heart or the wounds or the hurt that you've been through than the person who's been watching you go through it all this time. I truly believe the only thing that can really mend a broken heart is God. Do you know that song, Nothing Breaks Like a Heart? And like the whole concept of the song is like, how can you mend a broken heart? God. That is truly the only thing that can mend a broken heart, that can heal any wound, is inviting God into it. Let me tell you why. When I invited God into being broken up with, I asked God to reveal things to me that I could not see. And God revealed that I was harboring unforgiveness. God revealed that I was harboring bitterness. God revealed that I was living a life that I did not need to live. He revealed all these things to mend my heart. Things that I would have never seen from my perspective. Because it's like, you're biased as a human. You think you're doing everything right, and God shows, no, this is what you're doing wrong. You're still mad at him for hurting you. You're still mad at this person for doing you wrong, and you need to forgive. So that's why I personally think you should invite God into your wounds. Okay. I invite you to join me in John chapter 8, verse 32, although I just lost the page. Of course I did, because it's me. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Once you talk to God about your wound, once you invite God into your wound, invite God into your heart, invite God into what's breaking your heart, he will reveal, like I said, the truth as to why it's still bothering you. For me, it was the spirit of unforgiveness. And sorry I'm fidgeting around so much. We've been filming for hours and my legs are tired. So for me, it was unforgiveness. And that was really hard for me to swallow. Like, I did not know that I had a problem forgiving people. I guess I kind of figured that it wasn't that important. And I had this spirit of pride within me that was like, well, if people do things wrong, or if people do things to hurt me intentionally, then I shouldn't forgive them. Then I shouldn't have them around in my life. Then I shouldn't be good to them. I should harbor the spirit of unforgiveness because that's what they deserve, because that's what I'm thinking, right? And God showed me that it's important to forgive people. 1, not for them, but for you. And 2, how many times has God, a literal perfect being, forgiven us for our mistakes time and time again? So in order to receive that grace, you have to give that grace. I didn't feel that. Once I forgave the person that hurt me so much, my burden, it felt like this burden was lifted off my shoulders. I would have never known the true truth as to why I was so angry, why I was so hurt, why I was so depressed, why I was so bitter, had I not invited God into my wound, and had I not asked him to show me where, or reveal to me what kept me in the cycle of sadness, of brokenness, of depression, of all those things. Now, we're going to talk about what I'm learning. Because the fun thing about being the age that I'm at, I just made 19, is that you're still learning everything, because pretty much everything is happening to you for the first time. I've made a few notes. I'm learning that peace is not pretending. Peace is not pretending to be good with someone that you're not. Peace is not pretending that you're okay with something that you're not okay with. Peace is not pretending that you're perfectly fine when you're brokenhearted. Peace is none of those things. True peace is looking at yourself. It's kind of like the man in the mirror concept. Knowing what hurt you, naming what hurt you, confronting what hurt you, forgiving who hurt you, and healing from what hurt you. That is the only way I truly believe you can make peace with the situation. I've also learned that healing is layered, and it is not linear. I thought that I was completely just past everything that happened to me in high school because I went to college for a year. I met so many new people, so many new experiences, made so many new friends, and I just thought I was going to be past all that stuff because it just, the timeline, basically. Healing is not linear. No, I wish it was. It's layered, it's complex, it's deep. You can have good and bad days. You can have days where you think that you're perfectly fine and then you can cry the next day about the same thing. That doesn't mean you're not healing. If anything, it means that you're healing. It's not going to be perfect. You just get over something and you never think about it again. And I've been learning from that. I've also learned that old wounds can reopen. Definitely. They can definitely reopen. And it sucks when they reopen because you're like, wow, I spent all this time healing from this. I spent all this time trying to get over it. And now it's reopened and I have to go through the entire process again. And it seems unnecessary. It seems annoying, but it's a lot better than something haunt you for the rest of your life. And if an old wound reopens, I've also learned that doesn't mean that you failed. There's so many times that I've thought of myself as crazy or lonely or annoying I've labeled myself as so many things because I've always been one of those people to harp on the past. I'm not even kidding. Right now in my room, I'm watching the Montel Williams show, the old talk show from the 90s, because I just miss that era of life. I wasn't even alive for that era of life, but I miss it. I've always been a person to harp on the past. And because of that, I've always felt like a failure. I've always felt like I can never get over things. And then I just realized that's not true. That's not my reality. Some stuff cuts deep. Some stuff hurts more than others. I can look back at phases of my life now and say, I wasn't even underreacting because some of this stuff was so difficult to deal with. It's okay that it took me 3 years to get over a 1-year relationship because the breakup was just that heavy. It's okay that it took me 2 years to get over emotionally being sick, not even talking about the physical effects. And I don't know if I'm 100% over that. It's okay if it takes me 5 years to get over my senior year of high school. It's okay. Because like I said, healing is layered. It is complex. It is deep. It is not linear. And if you're not completely healed, that doesn't mean that you're any less deserving of love or care or attention or that you're any less of a human being. I was literally just talking to my little sister, or this girl that I call my little sister, about this on the phone. A lot of people are insecure and a lot of people are hurting and they don't show that. I'm one of those people. I mean, I'm not, completely insecure, but I definitely have stuff that haunts me. I definitely don't feel as great as myself as I may convey on social media all the time. Like I'm 100% perfect and I'm 100% healed and no way. I'm human. A lot of people are the same way that you are. So to take that out on yourself or to say, oh my God, I don't know why I'm so upset about this because my friend moved on from her breakup in 3 months and your friend might not even. People thought that I was completely over my breakup and that I was completely healed. Newsflash, I guess they learned once I was in a hospital bed. They probably knew then. Another thing is learning that you don't have to be ashamed of what happened to you. Shame has been a very difficult emotion for me that I've dealt with for a while now. And I've realized that I'm not ashamed of what happened to me. If anything, I'm very proud that I noticed it. I'm not ashamed of how I'm feeling. I'm not ashamed of being an emotionally sensitive person. I'm not ashamed of any of those things. I feel things very deeply. Everyone who knows me knows that. And what an amazing experience that in the one and only life that we have, I get to feel things so incredibly deeply. That made no sense grammatically, but you know what I meant. It means a lot to me. It actually means a lot to me. And so I'm not ashamed of who I am. I'm not ashamed of healing. I'm not ashamed of my past. I release the burden of feeling ashamed. And that has been so freeing. Now I want to answer some of you guys Ask Alex questions. We got a few. This is my blind reaction. If you want your questions to be answered on an upcoming episode of Literally My Life, make sure to submit your questions to our Ask Alex forum. I am so excited to be answering your questions, and I just love this. This is my favorite segment. Alex, I moved away from home thinking it would fix everything, but I still feel triggered by old memories. Why? I guess you guys knew the topic this week. No, I posted what the topic was going to be. You feel that way because of the cranes in the sky theory. You can move across the country, you can run away from all of your circumstances, but you can't run away from yourself. You can't run away from how you're feeling. You can't run away from your emotions. You can run away from the people that you know, your family, everything that you know, but you can never get away from your own mind. What a blessing and a curse that is. Alex, how do you forgive people who've never apologized? That's a tough one. The best way to do that is to realize that forgiveness is not for them. You are not forgiving to reconcile. You are not forgiving to make anyone feel better about themselves or to justify their actions. You forgive for you. And when I say that to mean forgiveness, forgiving someone for you. When you forgive someone, you are releasing the burden of bitterness, of hatred, of anger, of depression, because you are showing love. And it might not be romantic, it might not even be platonic, but love wipes any record of wrongdoing. And love, I truly believe, cancels out hate. And the hate in your heart will dissipate and disappear because you've forgiven it. Love clears all record of wrongdoing. And once you clear that record of wrongdoing, your heart will be filled with love rather than the hate that it takes to be upset with someone. I feel embarrassed from something that happened years ago and it still hurts me. Wait, I feel embarrassed that something from years ago still hurts me. Is that normal? Absolutely. I have so many things from years ago, even my childhood, that still haunts me. That's not embarrassing. That's human. You would be surprised how many people are like that. Like I was saying, everyone's insecure. Everyone has things that haunts them. It is not embarrassing at all. It's the human experience. My ex is gone, but I still feel angry. How do I let it go? Forgiving. I had to truly forgive my ex to get over my relationship. That was the only way I was going to get over it. Because I was so bitter that things did not work out between us. And when I say bitter, I wasn't like calling his new girlfriend or like cursing him out. I'd stopped talking to him when we broke up. Like from the outside, from my actions, you would think that I was completely over it. And on the inside, I was screaming every day. I was so hurt that things did not work out. And I was carrying like these feelings of bitterness, of anger, of hostility. I was just really upset. And once I forgave him, like these burdens just lifted off my chest and my life got so much easier because I didn't have to harbor any hurt anymore. It was like all cleared away. It was like washed away. And it helped me so much. So if you're upset with your ex, probably rightfully so, it is very important that you forgive them. Not for them, but for you. How do I know if I've actually healed or if I've just gotten good at avoiding it? You'll know when you're alone. Like, have some time to truly be alone. That's when I've always known if stuff still bothers me or if I'm avoiding it. Have some time to be truly alone. Like, for me, it always comes up when I'm listening to music. What doesn't kill you will haunt your mind while you listen to SZA. And if it comes up while I'm listening to my songs, I'm just avoiding it. But if it doesn't come up, if I never really think about it in those moments where I'm truly alone, I've healed from it. So take some time, be alone, spend some time alone. And if it comes up while you're just thinking to yourself, like I'm saying, like, don't doom scroll, don't distract yourself, just sit with your thoughts. If it comes up and it's haunting you and you're replaying it, you've been avoiding it. What's your comfort show right now? This is a really good question. My comfort show right now, I would say I love old 90s talk show. What a weird, like, niche thing, like, to be into, like, very niche. I love, like, the Maury Show, Jerry Springer, Montel. I've been watching Montel today. But, in general, my comfort shows are Friends and New Girl. What's one thing bringing you joy lately? My mommy. It's embarrassing. Is it? No. I love Mama Barbie. I think I need to have her on the podcast this season. Yeah. I think, do we want a Mama Barbie episode? I think we need it. What's your current favorite song? Selfish by P&B Rock. I literally heard, like, I saw this TikTok that said, He was supposed to be a part of the 2016 comeback, and he was. Selfish is such a good song. And I just realized that the other day. That and Cinderella by Mac Miller. I was listening to both those songs, and I was like, I've never appreciated the genius of either of these songs. And you like listen to it for so long, and then you come back to it, and you're like, wow, these were so ahead of their time. Like, actually so ahead of their time. Last question. What's something you're learning about yourself this summer? Love the podcast. Thank you. I am learning what am I learning about myself this summer? That's actually a really good question. I'm learning gratitude this summer. That is a big practice for me. I've been learning to journal differently. Now when I journal, my journal format kind of goes brain dump, current events, gratitude, goals / planning. And I feel like gratitude kind of just resets your mind. Our brains, I'm kind of into neurology right now and psychology and like figuring out why our brains are the way we are, sociology, like that whole thing. And our brains, like we naturally have a negativity bias, right? So I'm kind of into gratitude journaling because it resets that negativity bias and makes you look at life differently. We have an episode titled Gratitude is the Attitude. Like we know, girl. We know. Okay, I'm going to stop yapping on this mic because I think I've solved my own problems. It's actually insane that I have this podcast. It means so much to me that I have this podcast because when I have an issue, because like this is a very present, current issue in my life, I can yap about it on here for 30 minutes and then boom, free therapy session, and it helps you guys. So that means a lot to me. I've realized that you can run, you can move across the country, you can go wherever you want to go. But eventually, your pain will always catch up to you. The beautiful part about this whole thing is that your healing starts the moment that you stop running. I love you guys so much. I think this was a beautiful episode. I hope that it touched you. I hope that this helped someone. That's the whole goal of this podcast. And I know it helped me. I definitely know it helped me. I want to thank you guys so much for listening every week. I want to give a big shout out to my grandmother because she watches every single episode and she's so supportive. So I want to thank you guys and shout out to my Gigi and thank you guys for listening every single week, every single Monday. I need to go to bed. I definitely need to go to bed, but I really hope today's episode touched someone. Make sure to follow our social media. The links are on our episode description and stay tuned for all things Chicago Barbecue. We have a lot coming in this summer.